I know Jeremy is calling it Black Red Zombies. It's more a Blood Artist deck. This is like the Kamikaze deck that that is starting to make some waves. I first heard about it from Smitty on 60cards.com. He's been working on a list, a Kamikaze list, that's what he calls it, because it's built around Blood Artist. And just setting up a situation where you have a Blood Artist on board, kill a bunch of guys and kill your opponent. Like that's really all it does.
I've heard some murmurs about this deck. You know, it killing waves targeting itself and some other things like that. It has a card like Soul Cage Fiend, which deals 3 to both people when it dies and stuff like that. So it's a little bit off the cuff. It's a little bit different. It's definitely kind of a fringe deck, but you know, it's a deck that not a lot of people have worked on. You've just heard some things here and there. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of performs against a powerhouse deck and a powerhouse player.
Yeah. There we go, Black Red Kamikaze.
Joe looks like he's going to keep his 7. Todd is in the tank a little bit here, but we will be underway shortly, and we'll see exactly what's going on here. Showtime.
Gravecrawler, turn 1. Blood Artist has some sick art.
Yeah, sick art and sick.
You see in the background, there's like people hanging.
Oh, that's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome. So, Joe with the turn 1 Ponder.
And I think this matchup is I think it's gonna play similar to the last match we just saw. You know, game 1 might be a little bit more in favor of the Black-Red deck. And then the sideboarded games, Joe is gonna be able to kind of play the control role, set up his game plan just like Christian did in the previous round, and then execute it and then just control the game. We'll get to the sideboards and what they both have after this particular game, but that is what I foresee taking place, and I can't wait until I'm wrong.
And Diregraph, cool, from Todd.
We got 1-drop Central.
Yeah. Another Gravecrawler, so.
This is one of the ways that zombies can beat Delver.
Just overwhelm.
Yeah, just get if you get the 3 1-drop draw, you know, they don't have a card like...
They don't have sweepers, right?
Yeah, they don't have sweeper. They don't have a card like Ratchet Bomb main. Most traditionalists don't have a card like Ratchet Bomb main deck. Now you're already underneath the counter shield and the Vapor Snag wall and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, if your play on turn 3 is Geist of Saint Trav,
yeah,
who cares?
Right.
Getting in there with my guys.
Right, I'm swinging for 6 every turn as well.
Yeah, Restoration Angel is going to be a little too slow, and if they have, like, you know, their 1 removal spell for it, like a Go for the Throat or something, then you're just too far behind. And as you can see from Joe's Gitaxian Probe, you see Swamp, and I'm pretty sure that's a promo Killing Wave.
I think so.
I mean, for lack of a better term, he's all in with his 3 1-drops, and you know, he's
that was Killing Wave.
He's just going to try to kill him with these.
So the crazy thing, I mean, the Kamikaze deck wants its own guys to die, and when you have a Blood Artist in play. You get a Blood Artist in play, you Killing Wave, and either your opponent is paying a bunch of life, or, you know, to save his own guys, but you just don't pay any life and let all your guys die, and Blood Artist takes care of your opponents. So
at this point, that was another Gravecrawler that he just played. It's the
promo Gravecrawler. That's what I was trying
at this point, if I'm Joe, I'm strongly considering just conceding right now. And the reason being is I feel like I've gotten my information. You know, you don't see Killing Wave very often. It can only set off 1 radar as what kind of deck you're playing against.
Sure.
And I don't want to give away any information on what cards are in my deck. You know, like, sure, I can play Geist of Saint Traft here, and you know they're going to be seeing that coming, be used to that as an opponent. But I don't want to give away any information as to, you know, what kind of silver bullets I have in my deck or anything like that, because it's very inconceivable for him to be able to come back from this board state. You know, it looks like this turn, if he's going to play anything, it's going to be a land, a Snapcaster Mage, block one of his guys, go down to 6, whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
Joe has a pretty slow draw, although it's one of those draws where, you know, double ponder, you're setting yourself up. Seems like you're building a nice game, but taking your time to build that game while your opponent's beating you down is it's just going to cost him, and I don't think it's just not one of the matchups where you can really take your time if you're not going to interact with your opponent.
Yeah, and I'm not one for really early concessions, that sort of thing. But if I don't think there's a conceivable way for him to get out of this situation, where it gets to the point where I don't want to show my opponent any information. I don't know if he has what if he just randomly draws like a Despise or something, and he's like, I want to see your hand, and he gets this information and kills him. I don't want to risk that.
He could scoop the Despise.
That's also true.
Yeah.
That's also true.
Falconwrath Aristocrat in this deck. It's like the flying giant Solifuge.
Yeah, there are synergies everywhere within this black-red deck, which makes it kind of cool. And, I think what Joe might just do as well, and it's another option, is just, he might play another spell and just let him kill him. Maybe Joe can sit here and just be like, if he plays a card that I'm not expecting, he can
that
get
way
information
he's
on
trying
his
to
end as well.
get some more information out of it, yeah.
Right now, it looks like Joe's contemplating a Vapor Snag, just picking up a guy, buying some time, that sort of thing. Maybe he's able to get another card out of him. Maybe he's able to draw another probe to see another
get some
card
more
from his
information.
hand.
Yeah, just use this game for a way to learn what your opponent's playing more specifically. I'm pretty sure Joe would have originally thought, okay, black-red zombies. The Killing Wave may have changed that up, but maybe he still thinks it's a black-red zombies list. It kind of depends on how much on his radar the kamikaze lists are, but Todd doesn't have to play really any more spells himself. He's got Joe where he wants him, so Joe's going to have to, likely, if he wants more information, he's going to have to probe Todd to see much more.
Yeah.
Never really thought I'd see the day when Soul Cage Fiend sees play in a standard deck.
Hey, you never know, man. Synergy, synergy. And Joe predictably scoops there. The game's pretty much over. I think Joe had a Snapcaster Mage in his hand, and I may have Snapcaster Maged him, Flashback Probe, get my information, and move about my day. Now, looking at Joe's sideboarding, because he's going to be going first, if what we've predicted, boarding into the control route, as usual, Joe has 2 Consecrated Sphinx. He's also got a Sword of Feast and Famine. He has 1 main and 1 board. Joe actually is elected for 2 Sword of War and Peace and 1 Sword of Feast and Famine in his main deck. So he's going to up the count of Sword of Feast and Famine, predictably. He's also got 2 Celestial Purges, which are also going to come in. The kind of one of thing, and 2 Timelies as well. The kind of one of thing that he has that the other Delver players that we looked at don't have is he has 1 Batterskull.
Right, and that's actually huge, I think, against Kamikaze, because Kamikaze is trying to kill you as quick as possible by killing its own guys with like a Blood Artist and things like that. So it just like Batterskull is good against any very aggressive deck that's trying to deal 20. When you have 24 life, that just makes it that much more difficult for them.
And it's interesting because in our last match we saw where Christian Valenti had a Gideon and it completely won the game against Blue Black, whereas Gideon would not be very good against this deck because this deck has the reach, and where Batterskull would be the actual trump in that situation. Now, what does Todd have that you conceivably can see him bringing in?
Okay, just looking at it now. So he's got Sever the Bloodline, Curse of Death's Hold, Arc Trail, Mortar Pod, Skursdag High Priest. See, I haven't played with Kamikaze, so I'm trying to figure out what he'd want here. It's hard to figure out what he might even want to take out, because the deck is built on those synergies, as we mentioned. It's got Sword of War and Peace, but not it's not so many white creatures in Delvers now that they stopped playing Lingering Souls.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Looking at sideboard, there's 2 of this, 1 of that, 2 of this, 1 of that. But the point that you made about the entire deck is just a ball of synergy.
Yeah.
So when you start cutting cards from it, it becomes less synergetic.
Yeah.
So I don't really know.
Maybe a mortar pod or 2 could seem reasonable, because that still helps with the synergy of being able to sacrifice a creature, but also helps you deal with opposing Delvers. I could see mortar pod coming in.
Yeah, he's got 2 mortar cards in his sideboard that I could see him boarding in. I mean, if you just run down the list, 2 Ratchet Bomb, do we want to bring those in? Maybe.
Right. It's like
one sort of War and Peace.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. Surgical, I don't think I would bring in. Witchbane Orb, I think we can safely leave that one at home.
Yeah, it's like, I stopped your Gitaxian Probe?
Yeah, I'm not doing that for 4 mana. 3 Pillar of Flames.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's more there for like probably Strangleroot Geists and Undying creatures than anything, but
and then
it does nicely kill Delvers. But as we said earlier, sometimes the Delvers are just like
they're there to be killed.
They're not even really meant as a win condition. Sever the Bloodline doesn't really do much there. Curse of Death's Hold, sure, but like not really.
Yeah,
Stop Snapcasters and Delvers. And Moorland Haunt, you know.
Arch Trail's okay, and then he's got Skrstag High Priest, and it's hard for me to believe that a High Priest is going to be good in a world where he has snags and he has Celestial Purges.
Yeah. I don't even like High Priest at all.
Yeah, I don't like High Priest very much in that kind. Like, if it's going to be in any deck, it's going to be in this particular version of the black deck, but I don't really like it very much either.
Soul Cage Fiend.
You're in love with that guy.
I just think it's interesting to see, like, you know, I would have looked at this card, or I'm sure I did look at this card and just like, okay, so it's a 3/2 for 3. When it dies, each player loses 3 life. Whatever, you know, shrug, limited, you know, fine. It's a 3/2 for 3, good and limited. I'm not talking like it's just but in constructed, I'm just
It's easy just to wave
I just
off.
forget it, and just I had to look it up again here, and oh, okay, I see how it works in this deck. Nice little bit of lightning bolt with your creature.
Yeah, a little bit of reach.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, because you know the Black Red Kamikaze deck that game, it didn't really do what it does. It basically just played as a zombie deck that like got like its perfect draw.
Right.
You know,
it was kind of funny. 3 Gravecrawlers and a Diagraph Pool, I think was all we saw there.
Yeah, and then you know that's going to beat Delver in a lot of cases. The 3/1 drop draw is a way to beat Delver.
Right.
So I'm interested to see if this deck actually executes its game plan of, you know, Blood Artist and killing its creatures a bunch. Like, is that sort of strategy a way to go about beating Delver? That's what I want to see. And while they're sideboarding, I know you're taking a look at
trying to see if what Twitter has to say.
Let's see what the twatter. I call it the twatter.
The twatter. Good point about Amass the Counterparts being reasonable with Misstep, because you can just put it on the bottom.
That's true.
Jerry and some others playing Amass the Counterparts in the sideboard as a one of.
Mass the Components.
Is that what it is? They said Counterparts, and I just kept going with it.
Blame Brandon Newsom.
Sorry, Brandon, you got it wrong, and now we have to call you out on it. Amass the Components. Amass the C word. That sounds
Amass
even worse.
all the cards. Give me all of the cards. So it looks like they're, you know, doing some shuffling, possibly some mulligans, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Joe's going to be on the play, and given the matchup and like his sideboarded cards, you know, I still think that he's going to be able to execute the same game plan that Christian was able to last round, but you know, Consecrated Sphinx is the worst of the big threats that we've seen so far between Frost Titan, Sun Titan, that sort of thing. It's the worst of the big threats against an aggressive deck.
I think I give this match to Delver because I just feel like it's squirmy like that, you know.
Oh, so, it can fight off everything.
Yeah, it's very scrappy. So if turn 1 Delver for Joe and Swamp from Todd, no 1-drop. Joe flips his Delver. What did he show?
Dealer has Blackjack.
Okay.
And he showed a Ponder.
Okay. And Todd mulliganed to 6, by the way.
Okay.
Joe appears to have another Delver in his hand. I don't think he has any other flip cards that would be. So
Joe gonna take his time. All right.
Gitaxian Probe from Joe after attacking with his Insectile Aberration, and he sees triple Geralf's Messenger, Falconwrath Aristocrat, and a Metamorph. So Todd can't play any card in his hand until he draws another land.
Now see this, even though I said earlier that Geralf's Messenger is probably the best card in this deck.
Only when it's on the board.
Yeah, only when it's on the board. This is, and this once again is what makes Delver such a great deck, because we spoke about how, you know, Delver Secrets is kind of like a bluff card, that sort of thing. Well, in this particular game, it could literally kill Todd in like 3 turns, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be so far behind that he's not going to be able to catch up. And if he has another Delver in his hand, like you said, then this game could be over before it even started.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if
And
he does.
Joe just pondered and plays
and he has another
Delver too. Yeah, he's set it all up. He's set to be attacking in the air for 6 next turn.
And so now, before this game has even started, we're on turn 2 on both sides. This game is conceivably over. Now, Joe just set up his ponder. I know he has an instant on top. It's either Mana Leak or Vapor Snag. He has to pass back. Messenger's not going to be able to catch him up. Joe can already turn it over because he knows it's flipping. Leak is going to counter his first Messenger.
Yeah, it's rough right now. I mean, I can't imagine how Todd gets out of this. I don't know that I would have kept a hand where I can't cast anything. I understand you're like, if I just draw 1 land. So, okay, he drew his land. And we're going to see a counter-spelled Geralf's Messenger here.
And he doesn't even have to counter it.
That's true.
He can just let it resolve and, save it for
He did let it resolve.
Yeah, just save it for whatever removal spell Joe happens to draw. The countering, that card has no effect on this game. At this point...
Good point.
Yeah, it has no effect. It can't even block the Snapcaster Mages he just put into play for this turn. So now we're going to put him to 2. I know he has a Vapor Snag in his hand, so we can put him to 1 if he wants to. And this is like a mirror image of the last game, but on the other side. The game is over before it even started.
Yeah. This time Joe drew all the 1-drops.
Yeah. We talk about how, Joe and every other Delver player is going to board into they're going to board into the control deck. Yeah, leak that.
There we go. Falconwrath Aristocrat meets Mana Leak and scoop him up. So going to game 3 here, Todd Warner with a very exciting Kamikaze deck that we have not actually seen.
Yeah, we haven't seen
work
it
yet.
It
won game 1, but it didn't actually do its thing.
We talk about how he was going to.
Here. Look,
is he?
It's Drew Levin over there talking to Brad Nelson.
Wow,
He's just rolling in.
Another star in attendance.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I mean, I didn't know Drew was coming. So.
No, I think he's on a drive. I think he's driving somewhere and across country. I know he was in Athens the other day. He's moving. Okay. I knew he was moving at some point. I didn't know if that was this move. So he's moving to Wisconsin. He's got some kind of job there. But anyway, I know he was in Athens.
Anyways, we talk about how Joe and everyone else is going to board in a control deck for this particular matchup, and then the Delvers might just be bluffs. Then you tragic slip them or whatever. It's not really part of my game plan. And in that game, it just shows that if things can break his way, where I just go Delver, and you think I'm going to play a control game, so maybe you want to design your deck to be a little more control-y as well. And it's like, okay, I just killed you with 2 3/2s. Whatever, no big deal.
Yeah.
And if the game goes longer, I have timely reinforcements, and I have Celestial Purges and Snapcaster Mages and all these good things to be able to beat you.
Batter Skulls.
Yeah, Batter Skull if I draw it, and Consecrated Sphinx and that sort of thing. So, if you're Todd, I mean, in a perfect world, you want to get off to the fast start that you got off to in game 1. But I think I agree with you. I don't think you can keep that hand against Delver.
Yeah, I don't know why I would not have kept that hand. And maybe I guess maybe he's kept hands like that before and drawn the land, and I'm sure it's great when you actually draw the land and go, I got, all these messengers and they resolve, but he was just too far behind.
Yeah, I mean, he got behind just so fast. There's no way for him to catch up.
No interaction, no spells to actually cast.
Yeah.
And against a deck that played its ideal 1-drop and played it again, couldn't catch up. It was actually really ridiculous when you think about it. When you even pointed out, we're on turn 2, and this game's over.
Yeah,
conceivably over, and it was. I don't know. So
if you want to take it completely full circle, a card that could possibly save someone in that situation is Mental Misstep.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just be from a blue deck. Now, I mean, is it ideal coming from a black-red deck? No, not really. But it just makes you think, the way that these games have been won, and the way that each player has won a game, it's been through their 1-drops.
Yeah.
It's been all their 1-drops.
It's the 1-drop battle over here. Yeah.
So it's interesting to see. Now, once again, we would like to see Todd's deck do its thing this game.
Yeah.
Or not get murdered by Delvers, but I think in an ideal world, his deck, if it's going to win, it's going to draw a lot of 1-drops again, like it did in game 1, and just get the ball rolling as fast as it possibly can. Because I think it's best opportunity to beat this deck.
Hopefully, we get a good game out of this one, because I really feel like game 1, Joe had no game. Game 2, Todd had no game, and I'd like to see this one with some more actual interaction.
Yeah, show me something.
Yeah.
Let me see a little bit of action. So fortunately for Todd, and I think this is pretty important, is he's on the play this game.
Mm-hmm.
So if he were to keep a hand like the one that he kept last game, that hand is pretty bad on the draw.
Yeah.
Because he even drew the third land on time and it was completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Whereas on the play, that hand is going to be a little bit more threatening, and it's an avenue to victory.
So he's got, what was that, 23 lands?
Yeah.
Yeah. It says it right there. I didn't even catch the actual number written up there. So. Just trying to see like what he was thinking. Okay, am I going to draw my third land by turn 3? But still, like you said, even though he did draw it by turn 3, he had no interaction on turns 1 and 2. So
yeah, and then just got steamrolled.
Haven't seen any Wolf run yet.
There's not much of it. Here we go.
Turn 1 Diregraph Ghoul from Todd.
So an ideal start.
Joe with Island Go, so that's good for Todd.
The one drops are so important for that Zombies deck to be able to beat any deck, but most importantly Delver.
So Ghoul gets in, and nothing for turn 2 for Todd. Glacial Fortress Go from Joe. So again, Todd may be able to set things up a little better this game.
Looking at Joe's hand, he's moving his cards really fast there, so I'm not
definitely
sure
a Restoration Angel in there.
I know that I saw a Timely.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I saw a Vapor Snag as well.
There's a Snapcaster, there's a Restoration Angel. A lot of good cards. There's the Soul Cage Fiend.
This is another case, very briefly, where I'm not in love with the sequencing by the player.
So what is Soul Cage Fiend? Apparently
yeah, that's a demon. It's not a zombie.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured.
I'm just not in love with the sequencing there, because attack first, and if he chooses to Vapor Snag, then your Soul Cage Fiend gets in, something like that. But now, you didn't.
He said Vampire on Souls.
He said Vampire. Okay.
He wants Vulcan Wrath Aristocrat to resolve, I suppose, or Blood Artist, both maybe.
Sure.
So Geist of St. Trapt from Joe. And another Ghoul, Gravecrawler from Todd.
You see, once again, that's another case where the sequencing is so important, because if he attacks first, maybe he doesn't block and then he plays 2 guys or whatever. But if I am Todd, I don't want to play this game where I'm waiting, where I want to be trading, because the longer the game goes, it's more in favor of Joe.
Yeah.
You have to attack into that Geist. You have to get damage through.
Timely reinforcements from Joe. 3 MC Hammers. And 6 life.
MC Hammer, okay.
I think it's MC Hammer.
Yeah, it looks like it.
A lot of people didn't know where we got the name Yo MTG Taps for the podcast.
Sure.
But that's where Yo MTV Raps. Not from the cards. That's not where we got the name from. It was from the show. So,
I don't know if you missed it there, but he Vapor Snagged the one guy that he had back, so he was able to get in for 6 damage.
Right.
And that's all part of Delver's game plan. If you leave a guy back,
this is just Vapor Snag it out of the way.
He can purge it. There's so many ways that he can just get it out of the way, get in with Geist. That's why Todd doesn't understand that he's the aggressive deck in the matchup. He can't play control with Joe, because Joe has the card selection, and he can find the cards that he wants to, and he has the better end game. So he can't sit and wait and hope things break his way.
Todd was luckily able to deal with the Geist with a Phyrexian Metamorph. Now Joe has another Vapor Snag, and those soldiers, MC Hammer soldiers, are doing some work, and here comes Geist of St. Trapt. Number 2 for Joe. So not looking great for Todd. He's really going to have to mount quite a comeback. Todd at 7, Joe at 20.
And he's got to take 2 to even
he's
kill that. So he's going to go down to 5. Gravecrawler can't block, so he's got to get in for 2. He's going to go down to 2. And at this point, once again, just too far behind.
Yeah, another timely reinforcements in Joe's hand. if things were to even get out of control, which is very unlikely at this point.
You know, it's hard to say if Todd would have been able to win this game anyway, based off of Joe's draws and that sort of thing. But you know, it's so important. You have to recognize what role you're playing in a matchup. You know, sitting back there, it just plays into everything that Joe wanted to do. And you know, he Vapor Snagged his guy, got in for 6, and then it's like, oh man, now I gotta like metamorph his guy and take 2 more points of damage to do that, and then hope he doesn't have another Geist. And then everything just starts snowballing, and there's no way to catch back up.